Right, so we're going to record this because it's a very good question about what is joinder. So we joinder ourselves contract with the legal fiction when we claim it, we make a claim. So we not only at that point we're joindering our minds at the point where I believe I have to make a claim. I have to say it's mine anyway. So I've made a joinder in my mind that that's required. Then I go on and I contract and join to that legal fiction at that address. I go and disclose where I live, what I eat at the supermarket because I pay on my card. So all that information goes into the system to create what they can then say is valid ID, adding to that date of birth. So those are how this data is connected together. When you use Minister MFN, first of all, means that you have not joined it with their belief mechanism, that you need to make a claim to something, or that you are going to make a claim to something that belongs to somebody who's already claimed it. But they don't actually claim it. They're not saying it's theirs. They're saying that they've got the right of use of it, and they've got us all running around saying it's mine, it's mine. So they have let's call it the Vatican, the ecclesiastical system, have created this requirement, this belief mechanism that we need to claim something in order to exercise our right of use of it. And it is that point where you just joined it with the adding to the administration of the law. You've stepped out of universal law and you've gone into fiction, committing the fraud on your soul because it was never yours in the first place anyway. Or maybe it was, but you know what, and who have you got to claim it against? Who's got, you know, a greater claim than somebody else? Look at what comes from making that one claim. And so when you say, okay, well, I'm not making a claim to be the minister of you, I'm saying when somebody asks me who I am, that I am the minister of my own energy and matter in movement. That's it. If I was to say I am the minister of universal law, and that's what they came back with, are you the minister of the universe? I didn't say that. You perceived that that's what I meant. But that tells me about your process and your perception of who you are, not of what it is that I've just been required to try to diminish myself by. In fact, what that means is that I'm claiming to be nothing in your system. I am unrecognizable and indefinable in your system. If the name of the thing is not known, the thing is lost. So I haven't created that joinder with the belief mechanism, first of all, that I think I have to claim anything. I have to claim anything. I'm not claiming anything. That is the exemplification of what, if you were to define it, would be a quiet title. So this, even though it's column 10, let's say, or step 10, what we're talking about, which is the adjustment of the account, where you've officially received your indebted mind and gone, do you know what, bloody hell, now I know all that I know, whatever it is that I think that I know about how this system of fiction works. All I've done is removed my credit of that belief. I removed credit in that belief. I don't put or invest my energy into that pot anymore. What does it look like then? It looks like you have, if you were going to be accountable for, and if you were going to be diminished into little pixels or little utility transmitting accounts or settlers, transferee, transferor, trustee, trustor, beneficiary, benefactor, all of the you know, mercantile law, contract law, all of these things without universal law, and put it all back together in one pot. It's universal law. Everything that somebody's ever picked up and taken and used said, yeah, look what I created, I'll copyright that. No, you bought, did you make it with? You made it with something that was already created. You haven't got the right to say it's yours, but you have got the right of use of it, clearly. So let's see, we're talking about using it right. So on this scale now, when we're looking at columns and accounting and this vibrational spell that clearly creates matter into appearing real, for well, we've all experienced it to this degree, that we think it's real. So how does that work on the pixels on the screen version, let's say? We know how it works with the rock and where the resources come from and why the rock is so important and why your share of it needs to be assigned and used right. And so that's what you've done. You've swapped one belief that you believed that you needed paper or an intermediary mechanism, let's say, of any structure at all, to connect to your source. There she is, whatever it is, that supports and supplies you and sustains you. Why do you need to buy your rights back to use it? You don't, turns out. So it was the belief that I had to do those things, that I'm actually taking, officially receiving. I was the creator of those beliefs. I created this version of reality based on those beliefs, and I'm accepting the debt, really, that I have created through however long it is you want to count this for, or not, for the debt that I created right now. If I don't stop doing what it is that I've been doing right now, I will continue to create what it is and credit this version of reality. So I don't know how bad it's got to get for people before they put all of these parts together, and hopefully looking at this on this screen will help people see much more clearly than they've been able to up until now. What it actually is you exchanging one belief mechanism, mindset, whatever you want to call it, for another. So your belief that debt was real, your crediting, your credit of that belief was theirs, was the debt-based currency mechanism systems credit. Your debt and belief in it was their credit. And what you're doing is you're saying, I used to credit that debt-based mindset, and now I'm knowing what I know, which is I know nothing. I know that all I know is that if I don't do that thing over there and diminish myself to be a nothing, defined as a nothing, there for me to see in black and white and printed out in lovely writing, called legislation, I can see what it is. I've been living it. I don't need to suddenly learn commercial code. I've been living it. I don't need to suddenly know what mercantile law is or trust law is. I've been doing it. I've been putting my trust and credit in a belief that has created this fear, hate-based reality that we've got. And so I'm accepting the debt, that I'm actually accepting the liability of that indebted mind, and I'm discharging it with this new mindset. And so obviously we had to become aware of how all of these mechanisms worked. Of course we did. And so, okay, let's talk about, in spiritual terminology, it's evolution. Everything evolves. In science, they call it evolution. Whatever it is, you have evolved into getting into a position where you don't need a government, thank you very much. And if I needed a trust, ledger, entry, receipts, bill of exchange, registration document, QR reader, I've got one. Why? Because everything that is already that you're seeing has already been created. You're just here for the ride. You've already done the hard work. And so this part here, really, okay, so I've done the paperwork, and I'm waving it around as I'm arresting a policeman, and then I get released using habeas corpus, and then I go back to a house that is still in the name of the legal fiction. So what I've done there is I've accepted to be There's a beneficiary now for moving into trust law. It's presumptions, just presumption. So another way of being able to incriminate yourself without actually knowing is actually what it is that's going on. And nothing clever about that. And definitely nothing clever about encouraging people to do that. And worse, making people defend it. The encouragement of people committing fraud upon their souls. And so you walk through the door, you know, you've just rebutted everything in the court. They've had to release you because you haven't used the name of the prison. And off you trot back to the house that's still got the legal fiction as the liability holder, or on a tenancy agreement, or on a title deed that you haven't done, you haven't discharged. So you're discharging the liabilities, using you, and I can't say I'm a secure party creditor, kind of my own mind. If I'm leaving these doors flapping around, I've got to shut them down. So if it takes a piece of paper to rebut the presumption that you are actually, if you think suddenly that there is a problem and you put doubt in the thing that you've done, you don't need to do any of these steps at all. Anybody, you just, if you've got complete trust that no matter what comes flying at you or what you've manifested for yourself, because you know that much that you are creating the next thing, or you presume that you are creating the next thing that comes based on your vibrational standpoint and your belief of what's, you know, what it is that you are able to do, then what have you got to fear? You don't need pieces of paper. And so these people are only going to come up your drive. They're only going to come and stop you in the car if you have projected that into being an experience that you're about to move through. You're responsible for what happens next. And now, so these are just numbers on the screen. These are just a piece of data that represent, or we've allowed to imply that these represent something real. So I just don't want people to lose sight of what it is that's really real, which is what's really real is that you're creating this reality. So if you, for example, go back to the house and it doesn't matter to you, you don't think about, oh my God, I haven't done this thing and I need to do this thing, and I get on the phone and I say, oh my God, I didn't do step whatever. I didn't do my tenancy agreement. I didn't do the council tax part. What you're actually doing is you are reciting into the vibrational, creational, whatever it is that manifests this reality back at you, your worst fears. I haven't done that bit. If it mattered, you would maybe have thought about it before now. But because you've got to this point and you're like, I can't believe what I actually just did there, just arrested a judge, just smashed the Mental Health Act, just did all of these things. And even went back home because I believe that that is right for me to do. Even at that point, it's still none of these peripheral things mattered. And then when you haven't got anything else to think about in this worried programmed state, you sit there and go, oh, but I didn't do that bit. Oh, maybe I need to do this bit. And you don't realize that that is the door opening of the unsecured mind. What is it that I think I haven't already got? That's the question. It's if you think there is something else that you haven't already got, then you haven't got your complete trust in the universe. This all started by somebody just taking the number plates off to see what happened. It didn't, it's not about I had to understand it. I told loads of people I had to know what this word meant. Just did it. What was it? Put the joinder from between me and fiction, or commercial code, let's call it. Something that didn't serve me or my community or the universe as if you think of the universe as a cell, this vibration, as not of a benefit. So I'm going into these accounts now at the point where what I'm doing at this point when I'm going into the Kindness Credit account and uploading information into the equity ledger, what happens for every entry that each of you put inside there, that people have said, oh, it's pyramid selling, it's actually inverted pyramid equity assignment is what you're actually doing. If we could define it, removing the debt that you would have created had you continued to credit that mindset and pay the mortgage company, for example. Mortgage company is actually just a broker. You were farmed off to them like you farmed off to the pharmaceutical industry, but through the Ministry of inverted brackets health, for example. And you know, this is where you're being funneled to for your resources. Here we've got them all in trust. You can trust us. We're a bunch of maniacs. You need to come to us, commit the fraud on yourself, and you can have it back in a contaminated form. And then we'll all come round, and you actually pay me to do it as well. That's, you know, if that's your definition of government, then line up and get your vaccine so I can say. This obviously is where your house, your right to shelter has been capitalized on by this corporate impersonation of even trust law. And you've been buying back your rights for something that you had already settled at the point of exchange, where the documents, the legal fictions, names, the negotiable instrument, commercial instruments were exchanged. That's all that happened. Something was conveyed on from one pixel on a screen, one piece of paper, one column on an Excel spreadsheet to another. And there was a receipt for that. There was the evidence. Now we've got some evidence. Wow. So, what you're doing is you say, this is evidence. This is me exemplifying my no longer presumed to be incapacitated mindset. I can't define myself with what I am, but I can tell you what I'm not. And I'm not a Vatican debt slave, and that's about it. And this document here, this online account, reflects the alternative to what it is that we've got in the slavery operating system. So if you want to, can one of you, 1367, do you want to log into your account? Have you uploaded in your equity ledger the valuation of the property to be distributed?
No, I haven't yet, actually.
Has anybody else done that?
I can do it quickly.
Okay, if you don't mind sharing it on here, if you or we can use an example one. It just is the ledger, that's all.
Yeah, okay, I'll sign.
If we actually do it, you know, so we're going to go to the home page and start from the beginning once you've uploaded it into your ledger.
Okay.
Now at this point, what you've already done before you get to this point, and we'll go through why you do this. When you get to this point, you've already been to the mortgage broker, contact them. You can contact them as a trust. You can make yourself a trust email. It's your trust. Make yourself a trust email at protonmail.com and speak to them as a trust. This is your trust. It's not about having somebody else have got all my information again and looking over your shoulder and going, oh my God, what's she going to do with it next? It's yours. I don't care about seeing this information. It's good for us to have it with a copy of it, but don't ever give your originals away to anybody, whatever it is, whether it's your DNA, whatever, your rights, whatever. So what you're doing at this point is you've already discharged your liabilities for your gas, your water, your electricity, council tax. Minister Van is already on the bills of that address. You may or may not have done your conveyance, but at this point, what you're doing is you are using your right to shelter as collateral to discharge whatever the market value rate is that they have given it, the claim that they have made, the capitalization of that right of use is priceless. You can't put a price on somebody's right to shelter. Yeah, here we are, you know, my roof is bigger than your roof, and you've got to work so many more hours, and you'll never have a roof like this because of what we've allowed to happen with the capitalisation of the right to shelter. I'm giving up that belief that I believe that I need to capitalise on somebody else's rights to exercise my own rights to shelter, cutting out the middleman, and I'm saying, right, this has got a value. My slavery had this value, you valued it at this. Now, let's say mortgage 150 grand. If I paid that mortgage company 150 grand without the interest on there, I've created 10 to the power of 10 in the fiat currency debt mechanism. And so the Kindness Credit accounts in the background actually do the opposite multiplication. By you not crediting that debt-based system, you've kept that amount of energy that you would have had to expel to create that amount of slavery into that system, back into your own column, if you like, back into your own account, back into your own pot, into your own bank. You banked your energy out of being able to be used to create bombs, weapons, warfare, all that, for slavery. Now, that shows in the back end of the account. For every bill, or every charge, or every liability, or every mortgage, or every loan, whatever it is that you entered into your entry, so your equity ledger, that discharges a certain amount off either Hellenic Republic's debt, Crown Corporation, Her Majesty's Government, AstraZeneca, and what it's doing is vibrationally, if these pixels moving on these screens make matter, which we found that it does, when you go into that system and you secure their system from, or secure yourself rather, from being able to be utilized in their system, that is when their wheels can no longer turn. And now, obviously, these steps and the people that have done these steps, and some people that haven't even done these particular steps we're talking about and gone off and arrested the judge, for example, have not only done that, they've actually turned the cogs back on itself, and it's damned thoroughly. They are actually claiming against themselves, and they are knowingly doing it. They have no third party now to stand surety to their and underwrite or warrants or authorize anything that they do. And so by you entering in these charges, it discharges these amounts and secures this system from being utilized for creating slavery with. So have you got in?
Yeah, I'm in. I'll share my screen if you want.
We've got a redemption amount from the so-called mortgage broker. The criminal who is extorting money by menace and false claim, misrepresentation and theft and all of that, those things that come with that, committing the fraud on encouraging you to do that. So you've got this redemption amount, you've got our evaluation, social housing, this is right to shelter again, social housing was obviously created from rocks and building materials from the rock herself, and capitalized on not just once obviously, but again by the council, then becoming a corporation, and then giving licenses to these so-called housing associations to privatise the right to shelter in the name of profit and efficiency. Well, I don't see the community profiting or gaining any benefit from any of that, as I'm sure none of you do. And so what you're doing is you're using right of use, their valuation, discharging that against 37 quadrillion of Hellenic Republic's debt, for example. They will then get a Big Blue asset management adjustment of account. I'm going to show you that in a minute. These are going to be behind your My Documents. So if you just want to share the screen, 1367.
Yeah, I think you need to make me host, don't you? Or let me share it somehow, because it says only the host can share in this meeting.
Just see that I've just clicked something there.
Okay, I'll try it again. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Hi, it's 71715 here. I've not been able to access my account for about 2 weeks.
What's your email address, love?
The Cardinals credit account, it's in login failed.
No, what's your email address?
BG Reggae at
You-
Proton.
Not working that. I did add another go at this morning for you. So we'll have to, I'll put an asterisk next to that. Okay. So we'll send that over to you. But that's all.
Can you see that?
We can see that, right? So here, these are obviously accounts that have got Minister Emma now as the liability holder. And just to go over that, people have said about this week about councils contacting landlords. We talked about it briefly before, and saying, you know, there's somebody else is living at your address, or trying to make them liable. Anyway, one very simple thing to remember is that if I haven't got any money and we go to a restaurant and you want to pay, and the restaurant owner says, no, we're taking your money to me and I haven't got any, they refuse the offer of settlement made on my behalf, the person who offered to pay is standing surety to me, or standing surety to the table, in fact. If I haven't got any money and my sister comes along and says to me, I'm going to discharge your debt for you, she's standing surety to me. This is under mercantile law definition. Without that, merchant law doesn't exist. They can't trade without that. And what they've been doing, obviously, is getting us to be the surety to their legal fiction, too, like we were talking about before. That surety is gone. They've now turned around and said that you have to stand surety to yourself, and nobody can stand surety to somebody else. Well, thank you very much. If you believe that nobody can stand surety to somebody else, then there's no other merchant transaction can be done, and no vessel can be underwritten or stood surety to by another. And really, they scuppered their own their own merchant system by doing that. But it meant that you can't ask me then, if somebody can't stand surety to me and I've got to stand surety to myself, then why are you asking me to stand surety to your legal fiction? Very simple. You don't need to make it complicated. Now, so Minister Emma Benn is the legal fiction of our own creation. If you've got to have a legal fiction, why not have your own? Why not have one that you do have the right of use of, that nobody's going to prosecute you for using? Why pick one up? That's the only choice you've got. Why pick one up? If I've got to have one, here it is. It's that one. Well, we don't recognise that one. Good. Put all the bills in that one that you don't recognise and go and find it. Because if the name of the thing is not known, the thing is lost, you say. So Herefordshire Council there, Welsh Water, the utility companies have already got Minister Emma Benn as a liability holder. That is the amount of credit that they would have created. In kindness credits there, 168.75, that's 1,350 divided by 8. And the kind credit, community credit, that's what she saved. That's what she hasn't created, by not using slave tokens and using a discharge mechanism that has always been there, just that you have the wrong people as ministering this for you, that you need to minister it yourself, put your trust in yourself to do it yourself. This is what it looks like. It means that you've kept 1,687.5 kindness credits worth of energy out of their debt-based creation. That's how important that column is. If you believe those things are important, of course. Welsh water, again, reflecting that. Now here's the right of use. So do you want to come back out and just show us how you did that?
Mhm.
So go get to your homepage. Now the assignment, okay.
Oh.
Where is that?
I didn't really want to do that, but yeah, there you go. That's the homepage.
That's it. So, equity ledger. So that's showing the values, okay. Now, how did I get that to appear there? I go back to the homepage and I go into assignment credit. So all of the bills, that's why we say send, you know, on the bottom of the homepage on the website, it says put your account numbers in there. These were all self-populated, but people would just point out to.
Oh dear.
So you what you're doing there is you're adding. So you click the add button, you put in the name, the account name, and the details there, their postcode, email address. The null part there, that is the notice of liability. We can put another one in there. Have you got another one in them, event?
What else have we got?
What about electricity?
I can make one up. I've done that. That's there. That's out Fox the Market.
Right.
What else have we done?
Where's the property then? Let's do the property.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so account name. So this is the Parasite Corporation company that was trying to capitalize on your right to shelter.
So is that the mortgage company or the land registry? It's the mortgage company, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, lovely. And HSBC, all these horrible little corporations have all got their own kindness credit account and they're all in debt. So what we're working on as well in the background is matching whatever you put in there will match the name of the account, obviously for HSBC, and it will go, whatever you put in here now will discharge off their account first and then all together collectively off Her Majesty's Government one. So you put the details in there. And you put the mortgage reference number, let's say.
Let's try that again. Oh,
Okay.
yes, I did it.
So that's created an entry in your trust ledger roll account, you see. It's got a ledger ID number
Mhm.
and it's got the date. And when you notify them, you're going to upload that notice of liability, which is a proof of delivery, if we get those anymore, because I've heard that the postman's actually signing these himself. So go back to the home page now. And then click
Just
equity
quickly
ledger.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just wanted to ask about
Sorry?
the input in. I just wanted to ask about inputting into the ledger. Can we put accounts that are not necessarily financially indebted? So can we put our NHS number or our passport into those accounts as well?
Yeah, you can, but it's what value is that? This is about putting the value in that they valued it at. You can put those things in there if you just want to. You don't have to then go into this part and give it any equity. It's just you assigned it.
The thing is that if for any reason they attempt to pull the legal fiction into one of those frameworks, you know, what happened with the guy when he got put into hospital recently. I wonder if part of the protection against that would be to have the NHS number
To not use the
in the
name.
ledger.
Really, please don't make these more important than they are. They're not. This is not important. It's just there as an aid to help people. How do you stop that? It's not using the name. It's Minister on the Van. Don't need all of this. These are just little peripheral add-ons. It's not going to do anything, is it? You can put all of these things in there and then you can pick up the name tomorrow and say, that's me. So it all comes down to what is it that I actually do? Not putting all these things in and saying, yeah, that's my passport over there. And then they stop me and say, what's your name? And it's Bexley, whatever. You know, it's not, the tipping point of this, what you're doing is you're assigning the data and there's a tipping point to this. And so the more data that you put in there, the better. But please don't give it any, well, because I put my passport in there, it means this. No, but I'm saying something else. You know, you have to be Minister and Van. That's why you've got an account. You can't have a foot in both camps, what I'm trying to say. It either is or it's not. So what happened there? Did it not upload it?
It has, but it's in the assignment of credit, but it's not uploading it to the ledger, to
Right.
this kindness ledger.
Right, so you're going to add.
Oh yeah, of course it is, yeah.
And it's going to give
I
you,
remember now.
yeah. So now what it's doing, this part is speaking to the, there it is, and your drop down box, because you've entered it, so it can now search within your account. It's a deposit. And you're depositing your right of use that was being trespassed upon by HSBC. Yeah, they've got it in slave token worth. So it's, sorry, go back. It's kindness credit. So what it will do is work it out in kindness credits. Do you want to go back and see what it already did? Put it in slave tokens and you can change it so that you can work out how many kindness credits it is. So whatever the redemption figure is, or whatever the marketable value is of the property that you're in at the moment, is you can find that out on Zoopla or equivalent of. And the amount.
So this is the redemption figure from the mortgage company, not the valuation for the property,
It's up
isn't
to
it?
you. It's up to you. I wouldn't at that point. If you've got a mortgage, and then it's whatever they claimed it was, isn't it? Worth. If it's, you know, I haven't got a mortgage broker to go to.
I'll just
Social housing and pretending not to be the government dressed up as a bank.
I'll just make up a number for this.
Yeah, put enough knots in it. Need it to make a big impact against that 37 quadrillion is all I can say.
Put another note on it.
There you go.
That'll do. That'll be useful. One house just discharged it all.
Just put as much as at least the compounded interest on a daily basis, that
Yeah,
1%.
work out the compounded interest at 1%. There you go. So there. So it's giving you enslaved tokens and then worked it out in kindness credits. And that's what keeps us out of commerce. So let's say, so you can see now what happens then is they get the login details for their online account at Her Majesty's Government, and it shows you as well, it shows your account kindly crediting their debt they owed to you. And you are therefore the equivalent, the official
Nice.
It's very nice, isn't it? And that, guys, is how you split the debt of the universe. Has anybody got any questions?
And nah, just poof, fiction's gone.